Okay, so this is part two of our battle damage Sentinel. You can see I've done a few more things to it. First off, I took all the screws out of the back of it, and I made it where I could open it apart. Now I couldn't get the head off, and I didn't want to take a chance on breaking it, so I just left it on there, and it'll be fine because I can still open it up enough where I can get underneath and do what I need to. You can see I drilled out the chest plate here where the repulsor was. So this is going to be one for the, and I'll probably keep this arm on. I might, because very little articulation, but I might have this arm up. I might cut the hand off and put a different hand on there. But for the other arm, I didn't want it to just be limited motion, just the up and down motion. So I want to have this arm wrenched off. So you can see I cut the nub off of it. And so this is going to lay here like this. So it'll be open, and I battle damage the forearm portion, and that'll be in a portion, and it'll of course be metal on the inside, and it'll be scratched up, and everything will look rusted. So it'll look like it's been laying here for a while. So this arm will be wrenched off like that. So once you cut it open, then it looks like it's just a plastic shell of a toy. But I want this to feel like it's going to be like a walking robot, that it had an armature and that it had everything on the inside. Oh, and more battle damage, you'll see I drilled some holes like it had been strafed with machine gun fire. And you can see when you just drill a hole, it just looks like you drilled a hole in it. So I took like a Dremel and I just, routed it out in there a little bit so it looked like it was punched with a bullet. So those look kind of cool. But no, I want to make it feel like it's got, like it actually walked and it had an armature and it was a real working robot. So, and you don't have to do this expensive. I got this cheap little plastic flashlight that you can get at the dollar store, and I ripped that apart, and I just took out the little, the little dome with the little light on the bottom, and I'm going to put that on the inside, so it'll look like it has some depth to it. And we'll glue that up underneath. And then for the armature underneath, I just went to the store, like I went to the dollar store, and they had this little protractor that you use, or compass that you use for drawing circles. So I took out the little portion where the mechanical pencil was, and I took off the little spinner top. And then once you just have the metal, which I love the look of this metal, I'll just make this look a little bit more rusted. When you open it all the way up, and then you tighten it, this looks like a shoulder joint. So we're just going to put this right in here like that. And then I think I'm going to open this arm up a little bit more so you'll see it a little bit better. And that'll be resting inside of there. So that'll make it feel like it was a real working robot. So I was just looking for things that made it have that kind of a feel. I went to the hardware store and I found this. This is just a cool little hinge. I'm not even sure what this would be used for in the working world. And you can just put that up inside the arm also. And that feels like that's part of the armature. That'll look cool. That'll be rusted, and that'll be more of the armature for the inside. For the legs, you can see that there's going to be, I took it below the knee for this one, so you really won't see the knee joint for this one. It'll just be like the support structure. And then here you'll actually see the knee joint, so I wanted to have a knee joint. One of my trade secrets that I'm going to give away here is I go to the dollar store and I buy out a whole bunch of old television antennas. These things are invaluable. There's so many different things you can do with it. You'll find that you can do with a little hollow thing that can telescope. So the first thing I did is I cut off the bottom portion, the thickest portion, and I used the tube, and I just had some picture framing wire that I just strung through the tubes. So that's going to be the support structure for the leg. So that'll go up inside here, up inside the leg. And then this is another thing that you would have in a picture framing kit. Maybe it's just like, those little toggle bolts that it's got a spring in it usually. Then you put it through the hole, you drill a hole in the drywall and it just pops out and then you can screw it tight. I just took out the little spring mechanism and I'm just going to solder this onto that. So there's your little knee joint, and then we'll put this up inside the thing like that, and you'll see it'll have a little knee joint. That'll be moving like that, and that'll make it look like it's more of a working robot. And then for the hand, I wanted to have the hand here. I've got another toy that I'll be working with, another large toy, another large Iron Man, and they have a hand that looks like this, which is pretty cool. It's got a lot of detail. So I want to have something like this laying here. And of course, through the armature or whatever, through the shoulder, there'll be wires that are going to be coming out of here, and they'll be going to this little place where the little mechanical pencil used to be, and they'll be going through here and coming out, and there'll be all different types of wires and things that'll make it look realistic. And I've got a circuit board from a computer. I'm going to dot those in there so that it looks like a real robot. For this hand, I can't destroy this hand because this is going to go for another project. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rubber mold, and I'm going to make a mold of this, and then I'm going to pour in the resin, and I'm going to make a resin copy of this hand, and then I can just make as many of those as I want to until I get it right. And I'm probably going to just like drill this out here. This is where a little light, and you can actually see it all the way, goes all the way through. It's for a light that can come through here. I'll drill this out in the resin copy and then drill a hole in here so that we can run wire through it. And I'll probably have like the the metal tendrils that the Sentinels have that's spilling out of its hand. I'll cut one or two of the fingers off, and underneath is where you can use your handy dandy little antenna. And what I'll do is I've just got a little bit of these sticking out, each section. So what I'll do is I'll heat these up, bend these over a little bit so it looks like a little bent finger like it is on this hand, and then I'll just cut off one of these fingers, drill it out in there, and then we'll have this in its place. And because the scale is off between the other one and this one, you can see here's the two hands. The scale is off a little bit. So if I make the fingers a little bit longer, it'll create the illusion that it's the correct scale for this particular one. So it'll be one or two, might even do it for all the fingers, like it was a defensive wound. Like the human resistance had big guns, and they put their hand up as it shot them, and it blasted the hand and arm off. So then if that was the case, then all the fingers would be gone. So I might have all the fingers like this, and maybe even take the tips from here and put it on the tip of there, off one or two of them, so it looks like some of it's still left. I think that'll look really cool. And then I'll just be laying here with the wires running into it and going through the arm and then into the chassis. So that's mainly where we are right now, and you can see I've prepped it for let go wire. I prepped it for the paint. I've scratched it really good all the way over with some sandpaper. And then I'm going to do a black plastic primer so that it bonds to it and we don't have to worry about the paint not sticking to it. For this particular one over top of the black, I've got a special Rust-Oleum metallic rust, and I'm going to spray paint the whole thing with the metallic rust, and then I'll go back with what will be the regular purple here, and magenta here, and then I'll scuff those all and make those look battle damaged so you can see the rust through it. And anywhere where it would be like the silver here, it'll now be rust, like it's been sitting here for a long time. I want it to be like it took some battle damage a long time ago. Other things for the head. To make this look more like a Sentinel, I'm going to build up the jawline here with some sculpting putty. And then I'm going to put sculpting putty around here. And if you've ever seen a picture, if you look at like some of Neil Adams' artwork on the Sentinels, they have these big, it looks almost like a pocket off of a utility belt that goes all the way around. And they have these little depressions in there. And I was looking at it, I was like, what does that look like to me? And I finally figured out it looks like a Tylenol caplet. So I took some Tylenol caplets. This is going to sound really strange. But I took a Tylenol caplet and I sanded it so that it's flat on one side. And then I took like a little needle and a little X-Acto knife and I carved out, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, I carved out a little section in there. And that's the perfect size for this. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a mold of the hand, I'm also going to make a mold of these. And I've got several of these. So I'll just have little molds of these and I'll do these in resin, so that I can cut them and sand them and they won't fall apart like an aspirin tablet would. And then those will be put right up on the top of his head, and that's the perfect size. And I think once that's in here and they're cut out and made it look like it was damaged along with the head, I think that will look very very good. Make it so it doesn't look like Iron Man anymore. And Iron Man has these little slit eyes, and the Sentinels, they have little you know, like LED pinpoint lights. So I got another thing from the dollar store. I don't have it handy here, but it was just a little reading light that I can just take the little LEDs out of that thing, drill a hole, and put them in here, and then put Sculpey Putty around here and fill in the eyes so that all you see are those little lights. I might even toy with putting the packet in here and somehow having it where the eyes can light up. But since it's a dead Sentinel, I probably won't go through that extra trouble because the eyes would be dead anyway. But I think this is going to look really, really cool. A little bit more battle damage here. I think this is going to look really cool when we're done. I can't wait for you guys to see the next section of what we're going to do with this guy.